Later, Nils tells Rio he needs help. Avali sent a request, but it needs D level, so he can't accept it. And although he was promoted along with Ito to E rank for helping with the Great Tide, that's not enough. They also mention that this mission is full of goblins and skeletons around the area. A weird pairing, since they rarely share the same habitat. Hearing that, Rio suddenly gives a soft chuckle, so Nils asks what's going on right now. Rio thinks skeletons, as classic as goblins, finally show up, so he agrees to help right then. I said. And later, the four of them meet with Hugh to talk about the details. He points out that the request comes from Keladi, and Nils lets him know that he already knew that. Besides, the request was forwarded to Loon because they couldn't complete it. Hugh tells them that Keladi sent two groups of adventurers on this mission, the first being E rank and the second D rank. They're baffled. A D rank party rarely loses to skeletons and goblins, so something here feels wrong. Hugh says that's exactly it. Reports from the D rank group say the village rejected them and refused to help. Nils insists his people aren't like that at all. They're usually welcoming and friendly. After hearing him, Hugh says he's glad he and his friends will handle it. After all, he's from a small town too. But he also asks them to be careful, since the E rank party came back badly injured. And that's because they ran into more than 30 skeletons. With Priest Ito, it should be easy for them. Plus, Rio helps. 99% of the team's power. Go on. Say it. He says the Witness mission is days away, and asks Rio to bring everyone back safely. Rio agrees easily. Without fuss, all set, the four head for Bali village. When they arrive, Rio says the trip was short. Nils thinks they ran more than usual, since it normally takes a day to get to Kaladi. Aman assumes it's because the training they've been doing is finally paying off. As they talk, some villagers spot Nils from afar. They greet him warmly. Rio decides he wasn't kicked out, since he's clearly not the village's public enemy number one, at least today, and Nils asks why he thought that. Rio says he seems like the ringleader of the village rebels, so guys like him usually get kicked out from there and end up turning into adventurers. Nils admits he was rowdy before, but he dismisses it. They need to speak with the mayor and old woman. After a walk, Nils meets Mayor Bullen, delighted to see him. Nils notes it's only been a year, but Bullen says he looks intimidating now, not a pest like when he was little. The boys laugh at that, and Nils ends up slightly embarrassed for a moment. Later, Bullen asks about them. He says they're in his group. Once seated, they tell him they came for the mission today. Bullen agrees it's best for someone familiar to handle the job, but Nils asks about the second team, since the report says the village refused to fully cooperate. Bullen tells him that it all started when they ran into the skeletons. They started to appear in the eastern forest little by little. They saw the goblins for the first time in the southern forest, and that's when they asked for them to be eliminated. But the first group took the fight to a place they shouldn't have. Nils assumes they went deep into the eastern forest. Bullen confirms it happened and blood was shed there. So when the second group arrived, some villagers tried expelling them. They came ready to die, so they hated being told where to fight. Still, this town has shunned that spot for many generations now quietly, and Nils finds it normal that they weren't well received after spilling blood there. After that, he tells the guys that this is like a local belief, and that it's related to the village's secrets. He can't say more without the old woman's and council's okay. That night, boys meet Nils' brothers, where the older, Niloi, says that when Nils turned 18 he left home to be an adventurer. He never had a farmer's spirit, ever, at heart, so he always wanted to leave as soon as he was an adult. But his parents passed away before then, which is why he stayed to raise them. The three of them think that's so typical of him. Despite his looks, he has a big heart. Niloi's happy with his friends. Sure, no one objects to them handling this mission today. Meanwhile, the last group skipped village traditions and headed for the forest, just as Ito predicted. Then Nils arrives, saying the council approved their mission to proceed now. He thinks tomorrow they'll hunt the goblins, saving the skeletons for last. They let him share their customs, but only if they keep it secret from everyone else too. It turns out this village has two peculiarities. The first is that the village's guardian beast resides in the eastern forest. Ito had heard that some villages had won, but he's still surprised to learn that it's true. Ryo thrills inside, at last finding something from classic fantasy. Convinced that this guardian beast is possessed by an evil god or something like that, and that's why it attacks them. Lost in thought, Nils snaps that he's daydreaming again. Ryo just pretends he's fine, then asks about the second peculiarity to change the subject. Nils points out the temple, but says the old woman will explain in person, so they must wait until tomorrow. Next day, Bullen leads them back to where they saw the goblins again. She says kids used to play here, but now it's too dangerous. Amon finds goblin tracks and concludes a lair or camp is nearby. Suddenly, Ryo looks sharply one way, warning them 10 goblins are coming and will be here in 10 minutes. Nils is impressed by this, but remains calm and tells them they must finish off all but one. Ryo assumes it's to chase it and find the whereabouts of the lair, that being the plan to follow. Once the suicide squad is set, Ryo blasts a few goblins with water magic, freezing each the moment it hits. The boys smash frozen foes. When one survives, they drive it off and pursue it to see where it runs. Soon they reach the goblin's cave. Without wasting time, Ryo handles everyone at the entrance so the others can land the finishing blow. Then they all hear footsteps suddenly coming from deeper inside the cave. Nils tells them that something imposing is approaching and warns Amon to be careful. A goblin general appears. Once he spots it, Nils knows there's no way to win now. Yes, ma'am, we are done. Just as the goblin is about to attack them, Ryo uses ice bind to wrap it in giant ice chains, allowing him to easily pin it to the ground. He asks Nils there if he'll finish it off now. Nils says yes, still shaken by what he just saw. After beating him, the boys return celebrating, proudly flaunting the goblin general's valuable magic stone. Bullen says they're amazing too, as impressed as Nils. On arriving in the village, an old woman congratulates them for beating the goblins. Bullen introduces her as Counselor Mrs. Nazo, called the Old Woman. As soon as she hears it, she snaps at him for explaining something so simple, apologizes to the boys. Bauman and Nils make this town idiot pact. She takes them elsewhere now. And here Ito notices a kind of gem hanging from her staff. On the other hand, Ryo strongly believes this is the ideal time to meet the guardian beast, being anxious to face it. On the road, Ito asks Nazo if her staff serves as Mother Earth's goddess emblem. She confirms that he is and opines that he is a rather good and capable priest of light for identifying the emblem. Ryo doesn't know, so Ito explains the light goddess and Mother Earth once belonged to the Seventh Pantheon, but over time, it changed completely. Nazo adds that now people assume every temple worships the light goddess, since the other 6 gods are completely forgotten. Still, this village has honored Mother Earth for generations. Ryo asks Nazo if she can't use light healing magic. She says yes, she can use healing magic, but it's unlike what's used in light temples. Since Ito casts spells, she notes Mother Earth's servants never use them, because they don't need them. Also, she complains everyone thinks magic needs spells. At the lair entrance of the guardian beast, Nazo addresses it, warning she's here with Bullen and 4 others who agree to the mission. This time, Ryo is excited for the epic fight that's coming. Seconds later, a giant beast emerges from the cave, thanking them for coming. Ito identifies the beast as a Fenrir. Ryo's disappointed. It isn't corrupt or cursed, so he won't get his fight. Watching them closely, the guardian beast identifies Ito as the priest of light and Nils and Amon as swordsman. But when he looks at Ryo, he sees devil in. No, that's wrong. He says he's Nukasen, asks Ryo's name. Ryo answers. Nazo is surprised that the guardian beast introduced itself, and Bullen mentions that this has never happened before. Uncussen tells them that humans have a hard time pronouncing his name. Tell me about it, and that's why I'd never mentioned it. But it would be rude not to tell this water mage, Ryo. After that, he explains that he is something like a relative of the Fae. For someone like him, Ryo's presence is soothing. Hearing this, Ryo recalls Sira said similarly. The Fairy King naturally likes him, so he wonders if fairies like any of his features. Then he thanks Uncussen for those kind words. Back to the main point. He tells them roughly 30 enemies are outside the temple, and that inside waits a far stronger one, which he held back himself. But the temple's power can't hold this enemy alone. Once they finish the other 30, he'll set it free. When they arrive, Ito purifies many skeletons with cleansing magic. Once it's over, they then open the temple door. Doing so, they see the final foe, giant arch skeleton. Quickly, Ryo uses ice creation to give the boys ice hammers and tells them he will hold it back when it comes out of the temple. So they must take care of it as soon as that happens. Before starting, Ryo sends a signal to the guardian beast, which is a flashing comet that illuminates the sky. As Uncussen frees the monster, Ryo freezes ground with ice magic. It slips, and boys hammer it. Though the arch skeleton stands, it falls again and gets struck anew. Ryo brags, its magic leaves no escape for it, while Nils delivers the final blow by focusing directly on the skeleton's neck. My neighbor's wet dreams with a squirt. After defeating it, Mizu tells them that he had never entered the temple before. Inside, she sees something missing. Bulin asks about it. She says the village's last priestess already warned her about it back then. Once a bright gem sat in the temple. One day it clouded, darkened, burst, and judging by what the guardian beast said, this cave seems to have received a stream of power from elsewhere, most likely from the temple itself. Besides that, lately they have been attacked by goblins several times, and that makes Ryo wonder if it was those monsters that killed Nils' parents. Mizu continues to explain that they could never find its origin, but they found this cave, so he is curious if the power the temple received allowed it to generate the goblins. Afterward, he makes a seal to block the cave, stopping the temple's power from affecting it anymore. Mission done. The boys say goodbye and head right back to Lunholm. While taking a break on the road, Nils points out that it has been almost 300 days since they registered as adventurers, which means they will no longer be able to live in the residence. So he tells Ryo and Amon that when he and Ito move, they want to buy or rent a house. He asks if they'd come along so they can all live together. Amon accepts the invitation. Ryo asks for a moment to think, wanting to clear up a few things first. Meanwhile, Hugh asks Bell to attend Witness's Open Harbor Festival for him. Normally he'd send Phelps, but he's busy, so Bell must go this time instead. In a change of scene, we see some magic knights of the Empire training, but the combat stops when the commander wants to inform them of something. It says that by Her Imperial Highness's order, the lieutenant and she leave tomorrow for Witness in Nipe's kingdom. They'll be gone for the next 2 months. Leaving, she tells Lieutenant he was kind today. That's because in training, if the platoon did the same, made a mistake or got careless, he shot them in the legs. Now this time he only detained them. He points out that they spent so much time with the healers that they fell behind in their training, and that doesn't suit him. She's not surprised soldiers panic at her fire arrows. Her nickname Inferno comes from that power alone.